On this episode of Northport Newsbreak, I'm chatting with Shawn Ruff, one of the arborists for the city. Welcome, Shawn.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. So today we're going to be chatting about native plant landscaping, which I know is really important everywhere, but definitely here in Florida as well. So let's start with the basics. How do you define a native plant, and what criteria makes it native?
All right, so a native plant is basically any of the plant you're going to find that's going to be growing here naturally. It's not brought in from anywhere else. It's just something that you're going to, like if you go out in the middle of nowhere, you're going to be like, oh, look, I can see this plant stuff here.
Right.
Those are our native plants, and they deal well with the soils and the conditions in here. You know, whether we get, with the excess rain that we get, but we also, dry up real quick through the sand. So it's plants that'll grow into, that kind of climate.
Okay, so I know that this is actually kind of a almost branded thing here, but what is Florida-friendly landscaping?
So Florida-friendly basically just means that it's going to do well in our areas and stuff on there. When you put the plants in, like I said, again, with the native plants, they're going to grow into the sandy areas that we have and stuff on there. Mm-hmm. Florida-friendly also is going to be one of the things that, you're not going to have to continuously water it and stuff on. It's things that once they're established plants, they're going to be able to grow and sustain themselves. It's also plants that are some of your native plants and stuff in there, and that are things that are going to be even a little, they're not going to be a little more insect resistant, as well as, with a lot of the diseases and stuff. They're not really, to get those and stuff on. So the benefit is that you're not going to have to use as much, pesticides or fungicides or anything to maintain them. They're just going to grow naturally.
Because they're meant to be here, so they have some of the barriers built up, or the adaptations for living in Southwest Florida, for growing and living, I guess. Yes. So what are some of the ecological benefits of using native plants? Because I'm sure that makes it different than introducing a bunch of exotic species. Right. So what are the benefits?
Well, one of the things is once you start bringing in other plants that maybe a little bit more exotic and stuff on, is if it's not really meant in for this area, it can bring in different things, different pests and stuff in there. And then we also have things that have been brought in, a long time ago, your invasives and stuff on, which are, like your Brazilian peppers and stuff, which are slowly taking over area, your Australian pines and stuff, which, when they get them, they just start taking over everything. And that's, one of the things that we don't want. We want to use more plants that are, that are not going to, take over, that are going to be able to, to sustain themselves and to grow but also not take over everything.
Right. Absolutely. That makes sense. So are there any particular native plants that are well suited for the climate and soil conditions here in Northport or in Southwest Florida?
Well, there are several of them. I mean, obviously one of the ones you're going to find out is your live oaks and stuff, which have, been here forever. We have a lot of, here that have been here for a long time, which are classified as our heritage oaks and stuff on there. I mean, they've been, some have been here for like 50 plus years and stuff, these huge oak trees and stuff on there.
Sure.
You have a lot of your long needle pines and stuff that have been here, as far as, your trees and stuff. Mm-hmm. But then there's also, some of your hibiscus and stuff around there. There's some azaleas that are native and stuff on here. Some of your little kuntis, which is, it's kind of like a kunti palm, but it's considered a cycad and stuff on there. And they're actually, it's kind of neat when you go into a lot that nothing's ever been on, and all of a sudden you see some of these things popping up and stuff on there.
Right. Yeah, that's super cool. So I know you mentioned live oak and pine, but is it more the hibiscus and things like that? What are some that our residents can look for to plant in their yards?
Well, what they're going to be looking for and a little bit more and stuff on, and stuff down here, you have, some of your milkweed and stuff that's going to come out, some of your sevilla. Like I said, you got the azaleas and stuff on there. You have a lot of grasses and stuff like your fakahatchee grass, and then like your gumbo limbos can actually, it's kind of touchy in the gumbo limbo area and stuff on here as a tree, because we're almost pushing that a little far north and stuff on, because they're a little bit more frost sensitive. So we got to kind of watch them. But you got your buttonwood trees and stuff in here. You got a lot of native palms, like your cabbage palms and stuff in there, and stuff. Sea grapes, which you're going to find a lot even by the areas by the beaches and stuff on there, where they're actually helping with some erosion and some stuff in there. Mm-hmm. You find a lot of wax myrtle plants and stuff growing around. You can put those in there. Some yucca plants and some other. There's a lot of things that actually will sustain around here, and we can find those in other areas and stuff on.
Yeah, sure. It sounds like there's a lot of different options.
Yeah, there's a long list of things, and even though people that are kind of curious on what all they can go, is you can actually go onto IFAS and stuff on there.
I was going to bring that up.
And they can actually give you a long list of things that are even more extensive, and then also can tell you which temperature zones they're going to thrive best in.
Oh, that's great.
And that's where you want to know there, because you go, okay, I want to put this, but am I a little too far north, or am I a little too far south for that?
Right. Okay, awesome. Well, I will include that link in the description of this podcast so people can go find it and check it out for themselves, see what they might want to plant. But on the topic of, of what can be planted that's considered native, how can they effectively integrate that alongside existing landscaping? Are there any tips or tricks for that, or is it just plant them?
The only really tip or the trick of doing that is to just find out what type of plant you're looking at, and what kind of it is. Am I planting it in a shaded area? So is it something that's going to take a lot of shade, or is it something that needs more full sun, or is it semi-shaded, where it does well with half a day of sun and then the rest of the one in the shaded areas and stuff. So you're really kind of looking at that, like, what is that going to take? And then again, what kind of soil do I have? Most of the soil around here is real sandy and stuff on there. So we're going to make sure that, hey, if it's sandy and if we're going to get a lot of rain, it's going to hold up, but it's going to drain real quick. And again, making sure that with your other plants you have you don't want to take a plant that is drought tolerant and then plant it next to something that needs a lot of water.
Sure, that's true. Yeah, they'll get the runoff of that and start to feel the effects.
Neither tree is or plant is going to do well if the other one, because if you're leaving the one, so all right, it's just going to, this is drought tolerance, we're not going to water it, and the other one, like, we're going to leave this alone, but like, oh wait, this is not doing well, and then you do the vice versa. It affects the other one.
So you just want to make sure you plant by other things with similar needs.
Right.
I'm sure that's probably gardening 101, but I am not a gardener, so so thank you for teaching me, Shawn. So is there anything else you wanted to add about native plant landscaping, or what residents can do?
Yeah, really the only thing I look at is, if you're looking at wanting to add into your landscape and stuff, always look at, as much as you can into the, into our native ones or our Florida-friendly plants, and that way, you're going to get the best results from the plants and stuff on here versus, bringing something that, might be a little nicer looking, but it may need, a lot more care and stuff on. So, especially if you're, one of the many people in Florida that's a snowbird and going, all right, I'm gone for the, for the summer, like a fend for yourself. So you don't want a plant that's going to, have to need a lot more care to it, and then be like, all right, fend for yourself for the next 5-6 months.
Oh, that's so
you
true.
Want to make sure that you have all the plants that are going to sustain themselves during that time.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, so snowbirds everybody should, but snowbirds especially should be Florida-friendly planting, because then they can just leave and not be super worried about their yard while they're gone.
Correct.
Love it. Well, we came to the end, Shawn. That was it. So I appreciate you being here with us. We sure learned a lot, and I will see you all on the next Newsbreak.